Today, we talk about more holiday things as we get closer to Halloween. And we're also going to talk about some news that we've recently had when it comes to somebody buying 24 years of PlayStation Plus. All this and more. This is Nerds with Mics. Hello and welcome to another episode of Nerds with Mics. This is episode 160, and I'm Travis.
I'm Jared.
And today we talk about some of our favorite memories when it comes to, because as you can tell, we've had a lot of Halloween and horror themed things. And today for us is October 30th. When you're listening to this, who knows when it will be, but it's the day before Halloween. So we thought it would be a good idea to talk about some of our favorite Halloween traditions and also, what our favorite Halloween candy is as well. But before we get into that, we always like to obviously open up by talking about what we've been up to. So, Jared, I'll pass it over to you. Justin obviously wasn't able to be here. I'll explain a little bit of that as we get into the week about, I think Jared will actually spoil why that is. So, yeah, I'll turn it over to you.
I don't know if I'll be able to spoil why that is, but I might let you take that one. But as far as what I've been into throughout this week, never thought I would say this, especially how skeptical I was after one of our past episodes, but actually been playing a good bit of Call of Duty Black Ops 6, enjoying that pretty well. Other than that, my wife and I have started Supernatural together. I've seen it before. I've seen parts of it before. She has never seen it, so we've been kind of working through that as well. And then, little Travie boy over here came up rather to visit us, so got to go have some lunch with him yesterday. So that was definitely a good time. Glad to see him, obviously. Glad to see he hasn't completely forgotten about where he's from, but
Nope, I have not forgotten where I'm from. I remember my roots.
even though we roasted you for that a few times yesterday, it was a good time.
Yeah, it was. We didn't have Mountain Don'ts, so
We didn't
just
have
want to throw
Mountain
that out
Don'ts.
there.
Listen, drove all the way from Atlanta for Mountain Don'ts and didn't even have them, dude. Justin, if you're
Yeah,
listening
Justin
to
really
this, it's your fault.
Yeah, he really talked them up, and it really was Mountain Don'ts because we didn't get any mountains at all.
They said you don't get them. That's how they are.
That's right. That's exactly what they said.
Travis, I
Well,
think I'll let you go on what you've been up to because, like I said, I really didn't have that much going on this week aside from you was really the biggest thing.
Yeah, I am a big deal. No, I'm just kidding. So for me, I am in town visiting family. I got to see, as Jared alluded to, I got to see him and Justin yesterday. We met up for dinner at a place called Backyard Pizza. Had some delicious pizza and wings, and
But no Mountain Don'ts.
yeah, and no Mountain Don'ts. But yeah, currently visiting family for vacation. Shows I've been watching. I started watching. I know you said that your wife watched a little bit of it, but I watched Nobody Wants This with I think Adam Brody and Kristen Bell, I think is who is in that. But it is a pretty interesting show. It's kind of a feel good show and then also heavy at times. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Shrinking in regards of like you'll be laughing 1 minute and then you'll be kind of sad the next. It takes you on a roller coaster. That leads me into the next thing. Oh, go ahead.
Speaking of Shrinking, after Justin had sent that text saying episode 3 was heavy, yeah, it is. Messed me up.
Yeah, and that was the next episode that I was, or next show that I was going to talk about. I've been watching, so I have been watching Shrinking. I think we now have 3 episodes. Episode 4 will be this week, and then I've also continuing in Black Myth Wukong. I've been completely playing on handheld for the past week because I knew I was traveling, so I've been playing Black Myth on my Legion Go. So that's been good. And then the last thing that I was doing for our viewers, you'll be able to see this, but I'll kind of explain for our audio listeners what you are going to see. But this is actually me beating the pants off of Justin in cornhole. We were talking about something. I said, "Oh, you want me to dominate you in cornhole?" And he yeah, the whole world got to see him lose, and I just want to make sure that I shared that. But with that being said, he went into it very confident, and then as soon as he got behind the cornhole board, he started to doubt everything after I threw my first round of bags. And needless to say, he got smoked. However, he hung on for a while because a lot of times I needed 1 point, and I would get 1 point, and then he would get 1 point, and then would cancel it out, and then we have to continue playing. But at no point was it close, and I felt like I was going to lose. So I'll just say that. We'll let him defend himself when he comes on next time. But yeah, just know that Justin is not as good at cornhole as he is probably Call of Duty or some other video game. But anyways, but yeah, the reason that I was alluding to about spoiling why Justin isn't here, really the reason Justin isn't here is we actually met up on the night that we typically record, which is usually the night that Justin has free. As much as I wanted to record a Nerds in the Wild episode, they didn't seem too interested. So we're recording an episode today. They both have commitments. They have families. I don't have any of that. So
you have us,
anyway.
though, Travis.
Yeah. As I said, I'm in visiting my family.
I was about to say that, but I wasn't.
Yeah. So yeah, Jared and I are going to do an episode today, and then next week I think I'll still be on vacation, and I don't know if I'll be able to join, but I know that Jared and Justin are going to do an episode next week, so I'm sure he'll get to talk all the smack while I'm not there. And I don't know if I've ever not been able to record an episode, so this might be the first episode next week that I won't be on, so that'll be interesting. So
just get ready for whoever it is, Justin or I, to butcher that intro. So
yeah,
because you've tried to get us to do it before, and both of us have turned you down.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you're going to learn next week. I was going to say you're going to learn today, but now you're going to learn next week. Yeah. I mean, today, what's funny is the past 2 episodes that just you and I have been on, I've completely winged the intro because I've done all the notes and I forgot to type an intro, and I was like, good, we'll do it live, So anyway,
we're doing it live.
That's right. But anyways, so what we're going to talk about today, we're going to get into a little bit of news, but then after that, we're just going to kind of talk about, some Halloween time stuff. So what our favorite memories / nostalgic moments are. We're going to talk about what maybe some of our favorite Halloween traditions were. And then we'll close out by talking about like what our favorite Halloween candy was. So, or is for that matter. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into some recent news. And Jared, I do believe you have the first story. So I'll go ahead and kick it over to you.
So I mean, not really anything for me per se, because you've already heard my opinion on the PlayStation 5 Pro. But one thing I did find interesting is one of my favorite games in recent memory in a game I know that we've talked about trying to stream before is Baldur's Gate 3.
Yes.
Apparently,
I can't wait to do that still. I'm ready.
It's so good. I'm glad you're going to get to experience that. But Baldur's Gate 3 is getting a major update, as they call it, for the PS5 Pro with ray tracing and a bunch of other things with it. So I'm interested, because that game already looks really good in my opinion. I'm really interested to see what the PS5 Pro can actually do. I still don't know if it'll make it worth it in my opinion, because for me, they're going to have to do some crazy things, for lack of a better term, for me to see value in a PlayStation 5 Pro. So
yeah. Especially when you own it on PC, right?
Right, and I mean, it looks great on PC, and like I'm sure it would look great on my PS5 because most games look great on my PS5. But I mean, just for the fact of maybe getting that closer to PC experience on a console might be nice. Or one thing is if they can get performance back in check with some of these games that do run better on PC. Because I know you and I talked about Black Myth. As I tried to run it on PlayStation, I could just tell it would be a much better experience on PC. So, I mean, if it's something crazy like that, but with that, I think it's an optimization issue. I don't think I should have to buy a new $700 console to make a game run properly that's still a current gen console. Now, if I had like a PS3 trying to run Black Myth or something crazy like, or PS4, then yes, but
yeah. And no, I completely agree. Now, I will say what's funny is did Baldur's Gate 3 ever, because I know there were some issues, did Baldur's Gate 3 ever come to Xbox?
I don't know.
Because I think the biggest reason they were having the issue initially was Baldur's Gate wanted to support, it was either the split screen or local co-op or something like that. And there was an issue with how Sony, kind of similar to how the Halo issue, where they couldn't do split screen on console for Halo back in, the last Halo game. It was something similar to that. And I don't know if they ever got it resolved or not, because the studio that does Baldur's Gate, they didn't want to sacrifice the Xbox version not having a feature that they baked into the game that they could make work on PlayStation and PC. And I don't know if they ever ever released it on Xbox? Probably
Yes, they
not.
did. PS5, Series X, Series S, GeForce Now, Windows, Mac, and
Oh,
Steam.
okay. So it's everywhere. All right, let's go. That's cool. I wonder if that game will ever come to cloud streaming. That'd be kind of cool, like for Microsoft Service. That'd be neat. But anyways,
That'd be a
uh,
very good call on their part too. That's definitely one of those
yeah,
games like just where it's turn based. I feel like you could take full advantage of some of the portable stuff.
yeah. One thing that I'm kind of glad Justin's not here, honestly, because the one story that I was going to mention was,
We
I
would have
think
got the
you and I
biggest "I
both.
told you so" ever.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not going to hold my breath until I play it myself. But Dragon Age Veilguard is currently sitting at an 84 on Metacritic and sitting at an 82 on OpenCritic. For those of you that care about IGN reviews, which I don't put a lot of stock in them, but they rated a 9 out of 10, which was pretty cool to see. But yeah, I mean, overall, it looks like this game is getting received pretty well, which I was not expecting because this is the same studio that brought Anthem and also the same studio that brought the last Mass Effect game, which clearly both of those were not received well. So,
Third
so the
time's the
fact that
charm,
this
though.
game, yeah, so the fact that this game is seeming to get a pretty good response excites me. I think it's great to get this kind of game right before going into the holidays as well, because from one of the reviews I watched, that over 100 hours of gameplay. So it's something that seems like you're gonna be able to sink some time into. Um, so I'm excited to see that it's being received well, but I will leave it until I get to play it to figure it out. But it should be out. It's out on the 1st, correct?
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah, or the 31st. Okay, perfect. All right, cool.
Well, I
Well, I
think
won't be home
tomorrow.
to play it, but
I think
but
it's
you'll
the
have to let me
31st.
know how it is.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. But all right, what other story do you got?
Biggest thing for me is so one of the games that came out, which I'm pretty sure me, you, and Justin all played. I'm 99% sure you did, and I think Justin the same way. But Hogwarts Legacy. Did you play it? Did you beat it? Enjoy it?
I did. I did. I beat it. I beat it on PS5, but I really wish I would have played it on PC. I have it on PC now, but I'd like to go back and replay it.
Yep. Well, some exciting news to that is apparently there was a job posting for Avalanche Studios where the job posting, similar to what they did when Hogwarts Legacy was first in development, says that just a description on the job posting says that the person wanted to have a deep understanding of the wizarding world, which is leading a lot of people, myself included, to believe we're getting a Hogwarts Legacy sequel, which I honestly think would be a, agreed, fingers crossed. But that game was the first time that so I mean we've had Harry Potter games before and I know some people love like the older Harry Potter games, but I feel like this was the first time that they did a good job of actually delving into the world and making you feel like you were there. So I'm very excited to see what they do with the sequel. I kind of wonder if they're going to stick with around the school or if it's going to be more of like out in the world per se. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to see what that ends up looking like.
Yeah, I will as well. I'm kind of curious of like, you know, does this take place in the same universe? Does it take place after or before? Like, I'm kind of curious if how they decide to extend the story at all, because they kind of buttoned it up, honestly. So I
Yeah.
couldn't imagine that it would take place right after, but who knows? Um, so the last story that I have before we get into our big topic is so PlayStation Gamer. I mentioned at the top of the show in the intro, but there was a PlayStation Gamer that bought 24 years of PlayStation Plus to avoid common price hikes, which kind of blows my mind, honestly. To get it ended up being like $1,800 or something like that for that amount of time. Um, the biggest reason is in September they raised the price of PlayStation Plus from $59 a year up to $79 a year, and there's a possibility it may raise even higher. So, in order to get ahead of any more price hikes, he just decided to buy 24 years all up front. The guy's PlayStation Plus will expire. I think the year was 2048, which is crazy. And who's to say that either that service or that company will be around to that point? So, he could really set himself up for disappointment, later on down the road.
I mean, all it
Um,
takes is Sony saying, "Hey, we don't have PlayStation Plus anymore. It's now called something else, and your PlayStation Plus doesn't roll over." So,
yeah, I know. That or any of the games that he's accrued along the way in a digital library of some kind is not even guaranteed that it's going to move over. I mean, we've seen that already with them, and we've also seen the similar things happen with Nintendo as well. So who knows? Who knows what could possibly happen? Yeah, but so I found that interesting, because I mean, I guess good on them for raising their prices so they don't feel like they're losing money. Because when you look at Microsoft, I think I read a story the other day that when the new Call of Duty came out, it picked up 4 million subscribers in Game Pass because of Call of Duty, but also in the same breath, they lost $6 million in revenue because of that. So it's just, I think $80 a year is pretty absurd. I mean, I felt like $60 a year is reasonable. And I should mention that the tier that he bought was just the base tier. So there's 3 different tiers of PlayStation Plus. These is the essential, and then there's the middle one, and then there's the high one. And the one that he paid for is just the base model one for the next, 24 years, which is crazy. But anyways, Sony, I have a hard time. I don't even think I pay for PlayStation Plus anymore, to be honest with you. I don't pay for Game Pass either. Like I don't know. I think I'll be more likely to pick up Game Pass because I can use it on PC as I would PlayStation Plus. So that means that like I can obviously play games on my PlayStation. I can play games on my Xbox, which I never do anymore. But I can also install Game Pass on my Legion Go and be able to play games from there as well. So if I wanted to put Black Ops on my handheld, I could.
which you should, but like I'm in the same boat as you. You definitely should play COD, but I'm in the same boat as you. Like I paid paid for PlayStation Plus for 3 or 4 years. Like I'd always played on PC or Xbox. Then when I first got a PlayStation, I paid for Plus. But now, like majority of my online gaming is done through my PC, and really the only reason I have a PlayStation is for exclusives that are single
Yep.
player stories. I mean, you have God of War, Last of Us, stuff like that. Like I'll always play. Like I'm never gonna wait 3 years for them to do a PC port. So
Yeah. And all I'm
that
gonna
is.
say is oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say that's the only reason I need a PlayStation right now is just for single player story games that I don't need PlayStation Plus for.
Yeah. All I'm gonna say is if they ever get to the level of Microsoft where they're releasing their exclusives on PC day one, I probably won't even own a PlayStation anymore at that point, to be honest with you.
And
I think that's the
that makes
biggest
me
reason
think
I don't
that's why
even
they
play my
don't do it.
Xbox. Yeah, I think that's why I don't play my Xbox very much because if it is something I play on Xbox, I'd rather just play it on PC. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, but that's a conversation for a different day. So let's go ahead and get into the topic that we're going to talk about today, which is really just all things Halloween. Now, what I will say is before we get into our Halloween time, the one thing that I want to mention is Justin gave me a lot of crap last night because I forgot. Well, not only did I forget, but he also forgot to mention what his favorite horror movie was. So I wanted to make sure that we talked about that. And with that, his favorite horror movie, and I think his favorite horror movie franchise is Scream, which I think Scream's okay, but I don't even think Scream would be in my top 10, if I'm being honest. I don't know about you, but for me, it's just okay. But yeah, his favorite movie or
I
his
prefer
favorite
Scream from
horror movie
Scary
is
Movie.
Scream. Oh yeah, yeah, those are ridiculous.
Apparently they're coming back too.
Yeah, I heard. All right, so what I mean by Halloween time, like I had mentioned, we're going to talk about. We're going to start off by talking about what our favorite memories / nostalgic moments were as kids or growing up. And Justin gave us a little bit of his that I'll also mention once we're done. But I know for me, one of my favorite memories / nostalgic moments was dressing up like Ninja Turtles and rolling through the streets, with my fam, and seeing other kids dressed up as Ninja Turtles and just doing that whole like walking by and you're just like, what's up?
You
Because
did
you
that
think you're
last
like,
year, right, Travis?
I did, I absolutely did. No, but like just dressing up for Halloween, I always used to think was really cool because it was always the things that in the moment, like in the point in my life, that I was like super into, right? So whether it was Ninja Turtles, whether it was Transformers, whatever it was, like Halloween was always the thing that like was always the now for you, like when you were a kid. Um, and then another part, like for the nostalgia part, is the person that my mom used to work for when I was a kid. They used to throw. It was a restaurant, and I don't think either the restaurant would get away with it nowadays or just restaurants were different back then. But the restaurant actually hosted like a haunted house where you could actually come into the restaurant, go back to the kitchen. It was all themed out. It was essentially like a haunted house, but in a restaurant. And I got to be a part of that. Like I had like a like I had like a ski mask on and I had like a fake knife, and I would be hiding in the shelf behind a bunch of boxes. And when people would walk by, I'd just jump out and like act like I was cutting at their ankles. Yeah. So it was, that was probably one of my favorite nostalgic memories. And then I remember going with my uncle and my mom to Ritter Park. They used to put like haunted things in Ritter Park in Huntington, and I remember going there and just being completely like scared out of my mind and just having nightmares about things that I saw. And then also like corn mazes. Like I love a corn maze. You know what I mean? Like the fall time corn maze. Like I just like being scared. I don't know why that is. I don't know if I have a problem. But and then also candy. I mean, who doesn't love candy? Which we'll get into towards the end. But also it was the candy as well. Now, um, one thing as a kid that I think has changed is back in the day, at least in this small town, the hospital, because they had issues where people were sneaking things into candy that shouldn't be there, like razor blades and other stuff like that. That like after we would go trick or treating, my mom would take the candy to the hospital and they would run it through the X-ray machine to make sure that it was clean. And now that I'm thinking about it, I might be radioactive at this point. That might be the reason that might be the reason I glow in the dark. Now I'm sitting here thinking about it all these years later. That might be why I have all these problems between C8, the C8 from DuPont plant, and eating candy that went through an X-ray machine. I'm bound to die at a young age.
You're already over the hill.
It just
Travis.
got dark.
It's over.
Yeah, I know. All right, what was one of your favorite memories / nostalgic moments?
So, I mean, one thing for me is like anytime I think of Halloween, I always think back to one thing in particular. And Travis, as you know, I grew up in the middle of nowhere, out
Yes, in the boonies.
in the boonies. And one thing I remember is there was a guy who lived probably a mile away from us, and every year he would just put hay on a trailer, and every kid that like lived on our road and their families we would all take a hay ride together, and we would all just go down the road together and like stopping at everybody's house and getting candy, because obviously candy is the most important part of Halloween. But
100%. Not
but just
worshiping Satan, but candy.
candy. But everybody getting to just go together and like being with all these kids that I grew up with and have known for my entire life, because growing up in the middle of nowhere, you know everybody. So,
Yeah.
but just being able to do that with my family, and it makes me think back to moments like family that I don't have anymore that we're still involved with it. Not to get deep and dark,
No, that's good.
but just thinking back the time I got to spend with those family members when they were still here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the thing. It's like I well, I'll get into this in the next section, but yeah, I think that's the thing. It's like I think about that often, like the things that I used to enjoy as a kid that obviously I don't anymore, and like the people I used to enjoy it with that may no longer be here, that help make that possible, right? Now I know Justin said. So what Justin had said, he said Justin said that his best memories that he has is actually experiencing Halloween with his son Owen. I guess getting to see Halloween through Owen's eyes and just being able to see the excitement of him dressing up as his favorite characters and getting candy and all that stuff, which I think is pretty cool. I am a childless cat dad and a childless dog dad, so I can't say the same, but I'll just say I get it, Justin. Did you have any other memories or anything before we go into traditions? Which I got to say, I love a good hayride. I do have to ask though, Was it drugged by tractor or was it drugged by a four wheeler?
Obviously tractor. Obviously
Okay,
tractor.
okay,
Middle
I
of
didn't
nowhere,
know.
dude.
Well, the reason I say that is those roads are pretty narrow out there, so I didn't know.
Oh, it was a tractor, dude. Always
Okay, for
tractor.
sure, for sure.
I'm
Um,
honestly offended that you would assume it was a four wheeler just because it was middle of nowhere. But
Bub.
ye bub.
I bet you, I bet you, if a certain someone by the name of Caden was on this podcast, he would have said four wheeler probably if I
Oh,
was
he
betting.
absolutely would. Now I'm from the middle of nowhere. He is from like past the middle of nowhere, like edge of the earth, butthole of West Virginia.
The butthole of West Virginia.
Which I can't say much. My family's from there too. Technically, we live in the same area, so I'm allowed
He's
to
up
say
in
that.
that. He's up in that holler. All right, so let's get into our favorite Halloween traditions, and I'll actually let you start this one.
So for me, I mean, same thing is like middle of nowhere. It was all kids that my family had known, and we knew their parents and everything like that. So as we would pass out candy. Like I remember my grandmother would always have like a mask on or something like that. My cousins would all like hide in places and like try to scare people as they went by. But I mean, just passing out candy whenever I lived at home was definitely one part of it. But now is like I've gotten a little bit older and obviously gotten married and stuff like that. Just being able to spend time with my younger sibling whenever he was younger, whenever he would go out trick or treating, but then two is now being able to hang out with my wife and her little sister and being able to take part in their tradition stuff like that too and pass out candy. It's just the same thing of getting to spend time with those family members that especially when they're younger you don't think about it but they're going to grow out of it, but then
Yeah,
being able to make sure that someone else that's younger is getting to enjoy those same things that I did whenever I was younger.
it's almost like if you think about it, it's almost like passing the torch. You know what I
Pretty
mean?
much,
It's
yeah.
like these are the things that I used to do and enjoy. Like now it's your time, and I'm gonna try to help like make the experience that I remember as a kid.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Um, are you a fan of haunted houses or corn mazes?
Not corn mazes, yes. Haunted houses, not really. But I do enjoy a good Kings Island scare fest, though.
Yeah. Now are you the kind of scare fest person that puts the thing around your wrist so they know not to scare you, or are you okay with them scaring you?
No, I just go in. I'm okay with it. That's the one time
There
I'm
you
okay
go.
with it.
Okay, there you go. For me, it's kind of similar to yours. So experiencing Halloween. So I probably have mentioned this before, but for the first 31 years of my life, I was an only child. And then my parents adopted three kids. So I have much younger siblings. My oldest sibling is 17. So getting to experience Halloween having younger siblings is pretty cool. Because again, like I get to see them dress up, go through the things that I used to do. Now, of course, the characters they want to dress up with and stuff like that are much different than what I remember as a kid. I know my little brother one year wanted to dress up like the guy from Assassin's Creed, which I thought was pretty cool. You know, but we actually have a Halloween. The town, I guess, has a Halloween block party that's happening tomorrow night, and I'm going to go with my parents and my younger siblings to that. I'm not going to dress up. I'm just going to go support and just people watch because I think that's the cool thing to do on
Missed your opportunity to be
Halloween.
Mothman.
Yeah, well, they have a Mothman downtown. I can't top that Mothman with the double cheeked up. You know,
Double cheeked up, and that's the only shiny part left on the statue because every time
I,
somebody's there, they just want to touch the
everybody's
butt.
touching it. I know. I just wish he had a tramp stamp. Honestly, can you imagine Mothman with a tramp stamp?
Hey, he might have one. We never know. People are usually getting chased by him. He might have a tramp stamp.
Maybe I'll get a Dremel tool and I'll go down there and give him a tramp stamp.
For legal
But yeah,
purposes, that was a joke from Travis. I just want to
yeah.
point that out.
Yeah, that was a joke. Now, for Halloween tradition, we didn't get one from Justin, but I imagine that it would still have to do with his son. You know, I would imagine that's what that would be. Now, let's get into the thing that people really care about and want to know about, like the main reason that people do Halloween, and that is the candies. And I said it like that, like the Walmarts, but candies. Um, so, Jared, what is your favorite like Halloween candy? And also, I have a question after you answer this. So go ahead and let everybody know what your favorite Halloween candy is.
Favorite candy, not just Halloween candy, but favorite candy any time of the year.
That's
Doesn't have to be
that's what I
Halloween.
was gonna ask. That's what I was gonna ask.
Even though I try not to eat candy as much as what I used to, um, the Kit Kat, just a simple Kit Kat. But the best way to eat a Kit Kat, and if you don't agree with me, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. You got to put it in the freezer for a little while. Let it get cold. Let it get like extra crispy and crunchy. Then you eat it. It's perfect.
Yeah, I've done something similar with that, but I've done it with if you've never put a Nutter Butter in the freezer, that is a
Really.
treat. Yeah, Nutter
Spe-
Butter is
Sorry for train of thought here
no.
going off the rails. If you get a
Yeah,
chance, take a look at the Nutter Butter TikTok page. Something's going on there. It is wild.
maybe it's not Nutter Butter. Maybe that's not the word I meant to use. Uh, it's the chocolate little Debbie ones that come in too. It has like the wafer in the middle. Nutty Buddies. Maybe that's what it's called instead.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah. I know what you're. I can't remember what they're called, but your grandma would always have them at her house, and they're
yes,
like the yellow box. Yeah,
exactly.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, those are the ones that I was referring. Not the cookies, not the cookie ones, but
The
just like the
cookies are
actual
Nutter
like
Butters. I think those are.
Nutty Buddies is what I
I
think
want
they're
to say
called.
yeah.
But I don't know. But that's what I
Anything
was
with a
referring
wafer
to.
in the middle is just fantastic.
Oh,
So
100%. Yeah. So Kit Kat is not only your favorite Halloween candy, but it's just your favorite candy in general, right?
yes, sir.
This might be a hot take, but Kit Kats are kind of boring, honestly.
I don't care. They're delicious.
However, if you've never, so you've been to Jungle Gyms, correct?
I have been to Jungle Gyms.
Have you ever been down the candy aisle where the Japanese section that has
The
the
mochi
is it
Kit
the green
Kats.
tea? Well, they have green tea Kit Kats, and they are so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you've
That's
never
it.
experienced
There's
those, you
so
definitely
much
should.
out there, though. You say they're boring, but there's so many different flavors.
Yeah, I just anytime somebody says Kit Kat's their favorite candy, I just have some real concerns, honestly. Like,
I'm
what
just
else?
ready for those
What
of
else
you
are they
listening and
hiding?
watching. Is I can see what Travis's and Justin's answers were, and they're calling me basic. I just want to point that out when he gives their answers, but they're calling me basic, or he's calling me basic.
Yeah, yeah, and not American.
Ooh, whoa!
So
You can call me what you
so
want, but
Justin,
don't call me that.
yeah. So for me, mine, I have a really hard time. I would say my favorite Halloween candy is Butterfinger, but my favorite candy is Reese's. That's why I have two different ones there. But I do like a good Butterfinger. It's so good. What, you got something to say?
Speaking of Reese's, have you had the Reese's animal crackers yet?
No, are they good?
They are fantastic.
That sounds interesting,
They
but
are
I have
real
not.
good.
Yeah, it's almost time. So they have the Reese's pumpkins now, but it's almost time to have
Wait,
the Reese's the Christmas
waiting for those
trees.
trees, baby.
Yeah. What about little Debbie trees? What do you know about those?
Listen, I do love me some little Debbie's cakes. I'm not gonna lie.
And Justin's favorite was Reese's as well. I think,
Basic.
yeah, but I will say though that the original Reese's are the best Reese's. This topic came up on a friend of mine podcast I've mentioned before, the testing room, and they were getting into their favorite candies, and obviously, I mean, I don't disagree that the original Reese's is the best Reese's, if I'm being honest. Um, but yeah, so yeah, Butterfinger's my favorite Halloween candy. Reese's is my favorite just candy in general. Although I do love some Starburst. I'm not gonna lie, not Starburst gummies, but just regular old OG Starburst, pretty good.
I will say,
Um,
caveat to mine: Kit Kat's by far my favorite. Close second, though,
don't
Three
say Twix,
Musketeer.
I'll punch you. Oh, okay, okay.
Three
I
Musketeer.
can I can respect that. I like a good Three Musketeer. Milky Way's not bad either.
Milky Way is pretty good. Or have you ever
Yeah,
had? This is gonna sound like I'm making up, but have you ever had a whatchamacallit?
yeah, I've had those.
Those
Those
are
are
good
good.
as well.
I'll tell you what's undefeated though, and I wouldn't consider it a candy bar. Is have you ever had an ice cream Snickers?
I have not.
Oh, if you've never had an ice cream, if you've never had an ice cream Snickers, it'll knock your dick off. it's 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 so good.
Well, there's that
for a lack
explicit
of
rating we were waiting for.
for a lack of a better expression, yeah, it will. So next time you're at a gas station, next time you go to Sheets, go to like their little cooler and see if they have ice cream Snickers and have one, and you tell me that you're not missing your dick by the end of it. Okay.
Gotcha.
So,
That's just going to be the immediate
yeah.
response. If Justin doesn't listen to this episode, you're just going to get a text message that says that, and it's going to be like, told you. And Justin's going to be like, okay.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine last night actually on the way home call me, and they were like, "I can't believe I didn't get an invite to dinner." And they said, "Oh, me and my girlfriend Alyssa, and it's Alyssa and Caden, so it is.
Yep.
They listen to our episodes all the time." And I said, "Well, I'm going to sneak in a word in the next episode, and if I ask you next time I talk to you what that word was, and you can't tell me what it is, I'll know you didn't listen." So what it's going to be was that phrase that I just used. that will be what I'm listening for.
Perfect. I hope he does listen to it after I especially just called where we're from the butthole of West Virginia. So,
yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. All right, so that does it. I would love to hear when I'm sure that I'll put a clip up of this on our social media. I would love to hear what your favorite Halloween candy is, or your favorite Halloween tradition. So make sure that you drop that in the comments below. And make sure if you haven't, I know I've mentioned this every episode, make sure you go over to our TikTok if you have TikTok and give us a follow. Trying to get to that 1,000 subs, followers, so we can start live streaming on TikTok. And it also helps with the algorithms. So we appreciate that. All right, so closing out, anything else you want to talk about Halloween wise that you forgot to mention or anything? Or are you good?
No, I'm good. Appreciate it though.
Yeah. So let's talk about looking ahead. What else you got? What else are you looking forward to? I know we had some conversations last night about some things that might have piqued your interest, which you're probably going to talk about here in just a second. But I thought maybe you had already started it, but it seems that you haven't. But soon.
So, yes, last night I have never been one to play a Final Fantasy game, but last night after Travis and Justin talking to me for a little bit about it, I think I am going to give it a chance. I think I am going to start off with Final Fantasy 16, and I will say last night Travis compared it to Game of Thrones at points, and I definitely went and watched some gameplay, and I am actually pretty excited to play that. But the only thing that worries me is I don't know if I'm going to have much time to play that with what else I'm excited for, assuming that the reviews are correct, because I'm very much looking forward to Dragon Age this week.
Yeah, Dragon Age. I'm looking forward to that as well. Yeah, you'll have to let us know. You'll have to keep our audience updated on how you're feeling about Final Fantasy 16. I'll be curious to. That one is more action, hack and slash type stuff, casting abilities in real time. I know that you had some reserves, I think, about turn-based games. But yeah,
Now, see,
that
my
one
thing
I think.
is, I like turn-based. Like, I like Baldur's Gate. I like RTS games or like turn-based strategy games. But I just don't know if like a combat game like that would be like. I
Gotcha.
get kind of like it's just a different style than like Baldur's Gate is, stuff like that. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. For me, I have two things. One, Dragon Age Veilguard, which will be out. I really won't get to dive into that until after I get back from vacation because I didn't bring my PlayStation with me. And then I have booked a Harry Potter Airbnb that also has built into it a escape room. I'm not sure how that works. I'm not sure if there's a fail safe. If we can't get out, we can let ourselves out, or how that works. But if for some odd reason you don't hear from me after November 6th, that means that I was not able to make it out of the escape room and I have died.
I told Travis he's going to walk into the Airbnb and that all the doors are just going to lock behind him. He's just going to get a note that falls out somewhere. It's just like, good luck.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm kind of concerned about, honestly. Like, I'll just
We'll
drop
send a search
below
party.
and send a search party. I'll make sure I'll fire a flare. I don't think you'll see it from the butthole of West Virginia, but you know.
I don't live in the butthole anymore.
No, you've moved into the city, into the big city life.
I don't know if I'd call this the big city life, but
No, I would not either. All right, well, let's talk about this because this could be obviously a little bit of a shorter episode because we didn't have a ton to talk about. We really just want to talk about Halloween stuff, but we obviously don't want to go before we discuss our picks of the week. And I'll actually start off. My pick of the week is the show that I had mentioned earlier called Nobody Wants This. I think it's a really good show. I went into it really not expecting much. The premise, I mean, I'm not going to give a lot away, but the premise of the movie is there's a woman that is a co-host on a podcast that's about sex, and it's very like intense stuff at times, but she kind of falls for a guy and doesn't realize he's a rabbi. And just things ensue because there's like, he ends up liking her, and there's this whole dilemma where he can't marry somebody that's not Jewish. And it's a really interesting show. Not something that I was expecting to be on my radar that I would even get into, but it kind of reminds me of the type of show like I like with like Ted Lasso or like a Shrinking or something like that, where there's at times you're laughing, at times you're not, at times it's serious. It's just kind of all over the place, but I do enjoy it. I tried to get my I tried to get my girlfriend to watch it, and she says that I just not a huge Kristen Bell fan. She was like, I'm just kind of burnt out on her from, A Good Place to Frozen. I just felt like for the longest time she was everywhere, so I just don't think I can get into it. So, but yeah, that is my pick. Nobody wants this. So, what is your pick, good sir?
So I want to preface this. I actually have it in my notes over here that it says my answer, and then never thought I'd say this. But my pick of the week is actually going to be the most recent installment of Call of Duty. I know that whenever I had a chance to play the beta a few weeks ago, I talked about it on the podcast, and I was very skeptical. It felt weird, but I can say I have really enjoyed it thus far. I've really enjoyed the zombies. I've really enjoyed the multiplayer. The campaign is actually pretty good as well. Um, do you plan on playing more of this? I think that's actually what I want to do as soon as we get done recording here is play a little bit more of that with our friend Cannon. Um, but yeah, so I mean, as far as a COD game, in my opinion, this is the best since 2019. Now, next
Okay.
year, there's some rumors about what's coming as far as Call of Duty goes. Apparently, a direct sequel for Black Ops 2, so that'll be interesting. But yeah, COD this week is going to be my pick of the week, and I'm really enjoying it. Still think you should play it, Travis. And then before we move into closing, I do have one more thing to say, but it's not a pick of the week or anything. It's just something I want to say.
Okay. Go ahead.
But I know my wife listens to and watches our episodes, and I know she's going to be mad at me because she's going to think that whenever what we've been up to this week, I skipped it out or didn't mention it. But Maddie, I know we just celebrated our wedding anniversary, so I love you and happy anniversary. I just wanted you to know I didn't forget about it. I just wanted to say it at the end and make sure you heard it. So
Well, that means she has to listen to the whole episode before
I
she
know,
hears it.
and that's
So
how I'm going to prove that she listens to the whole thing. Same thing you did to Kate, and see, I thought this through.
good call. Good call. Well, happy anniversary. I was actually in your wedding, and
You
is
were.
this 4 years? What is this? See, I know how many years it is. Thank God for Facebook. Actually, it was memories of my photos that popped up. Actually, is what
Ah,
popped up. Yeah. So, but yeah. Well, happy anniversary.
thank you.
Congrats to you guys for making it 4 years. Here's to four more, baby.
She's put up with me
All
for this
right.
long, so
Yeah, that's right. Well, that does it for this episode of Nerds with Mics. We appreciate you for tuning in and watching or listening. Please make sure to give us a follow or leave us a comment. But until next time, peace. Thanks for tuning in for another episode of Nerds with Mics. If you enjoyed today's deep dive into all things nerdy, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so please make sure not to forget to leave us a review wherever you listen or watch. Your feedback always helps us grow. And if you know a fellow nerd that would love the show, share it with them. Until next time, stay nerdy, stay awesome, and keep those mics on.